Thanks for letting me be here.
Well, we're glad you are here, and I guess that we'll just go ahead and start talking to you for real, Shannon.
Okay.
Aker.
Okay.
Shannon Aker, of course, is with the Bank of Brookhaven.
Yes.
And what exactly is your official title? Because I know you are
It's a great
Mr.
question.
Community Relations.
Well, before I came, I was changing a ceiling tile
Were you?
and sopping up some water that the air conditioning had spilled out. And
no.
so anything. I plunged the toilet yesterday.
Shut your mouth.
So
Y'all don't have-
that's how we roll
You
over
don't pay
there.
that over there?
You know, it's a tight economy right now.
I guess it is.
But my title is Senior Vice President.
But just man of many hats.
Man of many hats.
You are the man of many hats because you are always smiling and pumping up some Bank of Brookhaven and making sure that the community is taken care of by Bank of Brookhaven.
That's right. We're the only locally owned bank in our town. Got
That's
some
right.
great banks, but we're the only one that's got local stockholders and local board members. So that's important, we think.
And it is
It
important.
is.
And there are lots of community events that would not happen without the Bank of Brookhaven support. So thank you for that. But now we need to get on to the banking news.
Okay. The banking news. We've got some good news and we've got some not as good news.
Okay, well, let's
We
start
did
with
play
the
the
good news.
disclaimer, so I can say that because of this administration, there's a lot of things happening that probably wouldn't be. A lot of things. You recently, I don't know if I can say
Yes.
this on the radio, you
Yes.
recently sold a house and bought a house. And
Yeah, well, we have closed on both of them, so they're official.
mortgage loan rates
Yay.
are very low.
Very
Just
low.
this morning.
That's the only reason why we decided to even think about this.
Just this morning, 3.60 for 10 years, 3.75 for 15 years, Ben, and then 4.25 for 20 or 30 years.
Ooh, Josh.
All-time lows.
Yeah.
It's great.
We
Now
closed
here's
on
the
Tuesday
bad
on those
news.
rates.
This time next year, it'll be probably hard to get a loan without giving blood, maybe a child,
It's
because
pretty close right now.
the documentation that they want to see now, and I'm talking about mortgage loan originators and the folks that close your mortgage loan, is unbelievable too. You know, just you used to get a packet of information small, now it's huge. So if you're going to get a mortgage loan, be ready to
Like, what kind of, give us an example, like, what's different? Like, what more can you
anything
provide?
you can possibly imagine. They want to see bank statements, they want to see tax returns, proof of your income. They want more information you can possibly think of stuff that you would never want to give somebody. They want that.
Is
too.
it more just providing stronger evidence that these things
Yes.
exist, or is
Yeah.
it actually more things to give?
When Bill Clinton was president, you know, I think that the number was like 72% of the American people own their own houses, but he didn't think that was enough.
Right.
So all these mortgage companies sprung up everywhere. Everybody, their mother. I even know a barber that had a mortgage company for a while. So very low regulation. Anybody was making them. They locked people into some bad loans. A lot of adjustable rate loans that went way high, and they didn't disclose that. Well, now you got to disclose, and you should disclose it. And the banks did that all along. But these mortgage companies basically put the screws to everybody else, and now we're all paying for it because we had all the foreclosures, because people had houses they couldn't afford, because a previous president, you know,
Well,
wanted
and
them houses.
there's stories that you've seen on the 60 Minutes and the Nightlines and or Datelines or whatever that there were mortgage companies, not necessarily in Mississippi, but in other states where they were doing a lot of fraud on all
Right.
those applications
Right.
and inflating people's annual incomes, and so they were getting approved for a whole lot more bad loans, like you were saying, and it kind of the
It's
bottom
caught
has
up with
dropped out. It's
everybody.
caught up
And
with
they weren't
everybody.
regulated. You know, banks are
Right.
regulated by the FDIC,
Right.
the state. So in those days we were too. So it was a different deal for us. And when you hear about banks in trouble, it's not the banks of Brookhaven and the trust marts. It's the banks on Wall Street that
Yeah.
have,
Right.
have really put us all under the bus. So you know, community banks like us have really tried to do things the right way for a long time. But then our FDIC insurance premiums get raised like 2 and 3 times a year now, and I think it's gone up over the last 2 years about 70%.
Whoa.
That's a pretty big, you know,
You gotta
hit
make
to
that up
take
somewhere.
off your bottom line. So,
Yeah.
Thus, some banks have not been
And
able
you
to
have
do
your
that.
FDIC to ensure that
Your deposits.
your deposits are safe.
Mhm,
Your
mhm.
banker, I don't,
It's kind of
your
scary.
bankies, I guess.
The
Yeah,
bankies.
if I take my money to Bank of Brookhaven, that my deposit is safe.
Mhm. That's right.
And it is.
It is,
That's right.
because they pay their FDIC.
So would this be a good time to?
This would be a great time to buy a house.
Yes,
It's not as good to sell a house, but it's still good. But mostly, if you think the big picture, it's a great time to buy.
What about
Right.
refinancing a house?
Great time to refinance.
But you have to have 20% of your loan paid?
You
Or
usually
what
have to
is
have you have to have down payment, And the thing too, there are some fees involved, and that varies depending on what your credit score is like, and what you're gonna put down, and they try to work around that, but it's a great time to do it, and a lot of people are doing that. So if you go and get a mortgage loan, be patient, because it may take you, a month or 6 weeks to get the thing from start to finish, so.
And if you're even thinking about it, just go ahead and start organizing your life now.
Yeah.
Get your bank statements together, get your check stubs together, get your tax return information together.
Saul knows.
And
Yes,
if you're
I mean, we have
self-employed-
notebooks of stuff. We've
Yeah.
refinanced about 2.5 years ago, and all they wanted was Josh's social security number. That was it. That was it. And they were like, "Where's your job?" And I mean, that's they.
You said you were a radio personality.
Oh, no, I wasn't then.
Yeah, well.
But
Well,
just kidding. I'm just kidding. And I hate this. I love Super Talk, but this is not really affecting our bottom line.
Oh, really?
No.
Huh.
no, this, I just know. Go ahead.
It's really sad. It covers the babysitter.
That's
it.
right. I see your children out being strolled.
I know, it's great.
Aw.
But then this year we had to take notebooks of personal information.
Yeah, and if you're self-employed, you've got
Oh,
to
yeah.
prove your income. I mean, there's different, depending on what you do, it's a different set of rules in some ways of what you have to see and what you don't have to see. So, but it's a lot of stuff, and we joke about it. The next year it's going to be really hard because that's all. And it's the same government who did a Reform Act that had 2,700 pages to it, and I think when we had the Great Depression and the government came in after that, I think it had like 14 pages to it.
Oh, my goodness.
So, I mean, I know it's more complicated now than it was then, but it's not that much more complicated.
2,700 pages.
So, but that's the world we live in. We did play the disclaimer, right?
Yes, we did. That is the world we live in.
That's
But,
what we say.
well,
It's all good.
I know. We're all disclaimed.
Yeah.
You know what? We might need to take a quick break, and then, but Shannon, we have one more question
Okay,
for you.
one
So
more
let's
question.
take a quick break,
Right.
and we'll be back with some more Shannon.
You can't hear.
Oh, yeah, I heard yesterday.
Hey, Shannon. Back to bank
Yes,
talk.
I'm sorry.
Even though Shannon, this is really Shannon delicious today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
too bad,
I'm
isn't
a
it?
little tongue tied. I don't
Yeah.
know. But okay, so let's talk about the opt-in, opt-out.
Yeah.
Just give us the.
Just the quick version of that is, over the years, you have checks, and sometimes you have money to cover those checks, sometimes you don't.
Mhm.
So you get your checks paid and you get a charge. And you have debit cards now too, so if you go and use those somewhere, those need to be paid. And so the government, in their wisdom, had everybody sign a form, and we're disclosing to them, we charge them $29.75 to cover a check. Now, if you have overdraft protection, you don't get charged. And if you can set up your overdraft protection with like another account, a savings account, or another deposit account, like a checking account, or you can use a credit card, and you can waive those charges, which is a great thing to do, and a lot of people do that. But just so you can know, okay, when I write this check, if I don't have the money in the account, that I'm opting in to have that coverage where I'm going to maybe get charged, but I'm going to get paid. But if you don't opt in, then you don't get paid. So you're basically saying, yeah, go ahead and cover me, and I understand you're going to charge me a fee. And so, it was a lot of paperwork and a lot of confusion to customers, but that's kind of the bottom line of it.
But and ultimately, it's the customer's decision.
It is the customer's decision.
Right.
Exactly.
The bank
It
is
is.
not going to think for you on this.
That's right. And one of the things we have to do is, let everybody know that. So, and making everybody understand, you've got to come in and sign a piece of paper, and that was every bank. It wasn't just us. So
Right.
It's a lot of fun.
Is it $29.75? Is that the universal?
That's us.
That's you. Okay.
So, and that's
And
been
some
our
people
charge for
could
a
be
long
like
time.
$35.
Yeah, I mean, and of course those fees I'm sure will come down.
Okay.
And is that per, like, if you have a $4.40 debit at Sonic and it doesn't go through, you're paying $29 on
That's
that?
why it's really good to
Yeah.
balance that checkbook. And I know you do that because I've heard you have a budget and you do a good job with it. We were just talking about that earlier. So.